Thank you so much, Sbusisio, for joining me. I didn't want to say your surname because I didn't want to butcher it. But I want you to tell my audience who you are, where you're from. And for those who are going to listen to this podcast, Sbusisio is an author of amazing two books. But today he's here. He's going to talk about one of his most interesting books called I Think I Am Depressed. Hi, Sbusisio. How are you? Thank you for joining
Uh,
me.
thank you, Anita. I'm well. Thanks for asking. And how are you?
No, I can't complain. Just yet another evening in Melbourne, Australia.
Yeah, it's even. Oh wow, this side is still morning.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, um, tell us a little bit about who you are. Who is Sbusisio? Then before, just a little bit about your background. Then you just tell us what motivates you as an author, as a writer. Then we jump into the book itself.
All right. My name is Sbusisio Manqa. That's how you say the surname Manqa. It's a Xhosa surname.
Okay.
So, born and bred in South Africa, Gauteng province, in a little town called the Vaal. So the town that I come from is hugely influenced by politics, just like most places in South Africa because of our past.
Yeah, true.
So with me being raised by parents who were both engaging in the struggle, I grew up analyzing the environment a lot, being around people who analyze the environment. So naturally, my mind tended to think in that manner. And later, when I was in high school and I started writing, I realized that I thought I was political, only to find out that I'm much more on a philosophy level because I question the environment. As much as I was influenced by politics, I'm not questioning politics, I'm questioning the environment.
Yeah.
So more of my writing is trying to simplify what I see and give it a deeper meaning to what it could possibly mean.
Okay. Okay. So more of what you see, not what you have gone through as an individual.
It's a bit of both. It's a bit of both. I believe as a creative, it is difficult to ignore what you see, and also it is difficult to ignore what you've been through.
Okay.
But the artistic part of it is when you can combine both to show people a little bit of what you are and a little bit of what they are and a little bit of what the whole environment is. That is where like the artistic part of things come in.
Yeah.
When art is enjoyed by the masses is when somebody consumes the art and can relate to the different aspects that contribute to the creation of the art.
Okay. No, I understand. I hear you and understand. So, Sbusisio is from the Vaal. Which parts of the Vaal? Sebokeng, Vereeniging. Which part of the Vaal are you from?
Right now, I'm based in Vereeniging, but I can't pinpoint clearly where I grew up. I grew up all over the world because my parents split when I was young. So me and my mom moved a lot. We lived in Sharpeville, we lived in Sebokeng, and then later on, when I branched out on my own, I also moved around a lot. Lived in Vander Bay and lived in Three Rivers and went to Pretoria. So I moved around quite a lot. But right now, I'm based in Vereeniging.
Oh, that's really great. Okay, so let's jump into the book. The reason why we're here, the reason why we're having this recording, your wonderful book. I think I am depressed. What motivated this book when you're sitting and you're writing this book? Because how I see it when I was going through it, it seems like it's a collection of poems per se.
Yes,
But then at the
yes.
same time, they are just not any poems, they are a collection of feelings.
Yes, yes.
So tell us just a little bit about what motivated the book. And I wanted us to also, as you tell us about the book, I'm going to ask you a bit about one, two, three, four, five. Five poems that I bookmarked, and I
Okay.
wanted to understand exactly, you know, the basis or the foundation that really motivated you to write these specific ones. I mean, all of them are great, but for me, these ones, I mean, personally, they also touched home, you know. So yeah.
Okay.
So yes, tell us what motivated I think I am depressed.
Uh, initially, I once was hospitalized for depression and not being aware of it. How my depression came about was that I started having memory loss because I think I got to a point. You see, when you come from an environment that is less privileged, you sometimes overwork yourself and overstress your mind in trying to reach better places.
Yeah.
So I wasn't aware. I was just overworking myself, trying to do whatever I can when I can, and having less sleep. I remember I used to sleep like 3 hours in a night, and then just wake up and continue working. And I started to have memory loss. So I was quite uncomfortable that I'm too young for memory loss. Something is not right with me.
Yeah.
And then I decided to go to a doctor, a psychologist, and say, this is what is happening. I feel okay, my body feels okay, but it's something in my mind. Fine, I had a lot of anxiety and, sometimes I'm moody, but the memory loss was the one that was stressing me out. The doctor, we had a conversation, asked me a couple of questions, and told me straight up, you're suffering from chronic depression and mental exhaustion.
Mm.
So for me, it's like, oh, okay, so what next? She said, for me personally, I would suggest we book you in today because we don't know when your body might shut off
Mm, mm,
and you need to rest. I was like, okay, I came here wanting to become a bit better or to heal. I dropped everything. I went to hospital.
mm,
Then when I got there and stopped working and stopped doing everything, then I realized everything came rushing in. The thoughts, the childhood traumas, the pain that I've bottled away. I was just redirecting all of this negative energy and trying to create something positive out of it. But sometimes we make that mistake of not dealing with something, closing another door when you move into towards another room.
yeah.
It's like coming into your yard and leaving your gate open and leaving the front door open and telling yourself, okay, I'll just close my bedroom door, only to find out one day a stranger will come in without or will come in effortlessly because you have left all of these doors open and you will find yourself in an uncomfortable position. So that's what I had found out, that I had bottled a lot of things. And with me dealing with those things, I was still a writer by then. I'm also a filmmaker. I write film scripts.
Okay.
So I love writing a lot. When I got there, I stopped writing. And I thought to myself that I would someday, especially once I started to engage in these group activities and talking to other people, there were people my age, people who are older than me, people who are older than my parents, people
Mm,
younger than me. So once we started engaging, I realized that this topic is of depression is quite serious than we think of it. It's a pandemic.
mm,
It's a
mm,
pandemic. There's a lot of people who are suffering from depression, and we are not even aware of it, and they are not even aware of it.
mm,
Somebody snaps like that and murders. Somebody snaps like that and becomes violent. Somebody snaps and hurt themselves.
true.
And all along they've been happy. So once I started engaging with those individuals, because for me, I consider my art as a responsibility to the society.
Mm-hmm.
I think of every time when they say, what do I want to achieve with my writing someday, I'd say I'd like to, or be remembered rather, as somebody who contributed to the consciousness of society or to the
Mm,
evolution of human thought.
yeah.
So right now, this depression thing is in my era. I can't speak for other eras. I did not live in those eras, but I'm seeing what is doing in this era right now. So I decided that I'll someday write a book on depression once I've dealt with some of the things that I've been going through. The book came 2 years later. And when I wrote it, I thought when I was reading other depression books, I was like, this thing has no cure. We haven't found a cure. We haven't found a cure yet. So when I write about depression, I want somebody to relate to me, to relate to their story. Hence, even everything is intentional. From the title, I think I'm depressed. When somebody thinks that they're depressed, when they read the title, it draws them in. They feel like they are reading about them. I think that is one of the reasons it has had such fantastic reviews, because I'm not saying this is a solution to heal. I'm just saying you are not alone in this, because the human mind works in a very unique way. When we look at, for instance, in schools, a naughty child, when the naughty child is sent to a corner alone, they regret, they feel sad, they feel scared that they're in trouble. But if they're sent to the corner with their friends, they're laughing about it. So that is how a human instincts work in terms of survival, that the more you realize that you are in this with another group of people, your chances of survival are a bit better or much higher. So this was the intention of the book. I was not saying this is the solution to depression. I was just saying, hey guys, this is me. I think that there are other people who are like me. And I'd love to share my story and let them know that we are not alone. We are working collectively to find a solution for it.
Yes, yes. And when you're saying that you went and you sought help, I want to find out, how was it? I mean, Uba, a black man raised within a black society, and let's be honest, we know everybody's depressed, but we need to hit the nail where it really is important. Black African people, for us, it's very taboo for us to be, to say we are diagnosed. Black people are not depressed people. We've grown up hearing that even from our parents and their parents' parents. So when you went and you decided to sit there and have a discussion with a psychologist, where was your mindset as a black man, as a young black man? Where was your mindset sitting there at that chair and you saying, I think I've got a problem?
The most unfortunate thing about us, black men, black women, the whole black nation, is that we have a problem of waiting for problems to be at a severe stage before we start seeking out solutions. You understand? So even when you look at my case, I knew I was exhausted, because sleeping for 2 hours is not normal. But it had to take memory loss for me to actually take a stand. And that is a problem. That is a problem with us. It is because we sometimes look at problems on an individual case. We have a problem of surviving, of wanting food for tonight, food for month end, or groceries. We think that is the only problem we have and the only problem we should be facing, and we are wrong. Because while we're dealing with this one individually, there's these other 17 problems that are hurting us. You see, when you're just looking at survival, you're not looking at how your sisters, your siblings, your daughter is what they faced with when they look at you depressed. You don't understand what is happening with you individually, when you are depressed, but you are ignoring it. So it is. So even for me, I don't want to come and pretend that I'm a protagonist in my story because I went to seek help. I myself fell into that trap that we all fall into, of waiting for things to get to a severe level before we seek out help. And that is something that we need to start changing, because it's hurting us.
It is.
It's hurting us. From our past, we come from a very brutal past. as Black people. And we have mental scars that have been passed down from generation to generation. If a child is raised by two traumatized, depressed people, chances are the child inherits that trauma and that depression, but the child doesn't even know where that starts from.
Yeah.
You understand? You look at Black males. They're afraid of asking for help. But when you look at who our fathers are and our grandfathers and the environment that they faced. For instance, my father, my grandfather in South Africa in apartheid, we had a situation where the father is being ridiculed at work, is being called a boy, fully grown man, a fully grown man who's been called a boy, who's being paid peanuts for hard labor. And the woman is not allowed to work unless the woman is going to work for another man's household to take care of another man's family.
Yeah.
And now when this guy comes back, or this man comes back home, finds the children there, hungry children, with the female, with the wife there, waiting for him to come back home with food, and he sees this severe situation. Can he cry? He can't. He's the only beacon of hope. He's the pillar.
Yeah.
He can't. So now, we have this notion in our communities that a man doesn't cry. Where does it stem from? Are we understanding some of the things that we are saying? Because we might be creating or adding on to a trauma that we should be ending. Because now we're teaching a man to behave in a particular kind of way. And now when the environment for him changes, he starts to feel like he's being attacked. Whereas we've created this huge ego for him so that he survives. Now times have changed. Women are being empowered. Women are equal to men now. But this tiny ego that has been traumatized 4 years now feels like it's being attacked.
Yeah.
And we do not understand. And sometimes when people, the scary thing about feelings that are bottled up is that you don't know how they're going to react when the person busts.
Yeah. They become very explosive. They become very
explosive. It's either it's going to be verbal or it can be worse. We see in South Africa what's happening. How these men are
violence.
Exactly. And this is when we understand that this is all mental problems, then we'll start taking them seriously.
Yeah.
Then we'll start taking them seriously. But
I think it's sorry to get into.
No.
I think the saddest part is that I like at the beginning of the book when you say that we are yet a generation that shows up, we post, we smile, but internally we really I'm gonna just paraphrase, but internally we're really unhappy people, and which is the sad part is that we're so unhappy that we become. And when I got to read your book, I have a co-host that was supposed to join us today, but he's a bit caught up. But we were talking about it, and I say to him, it's amazing how back in the days, I remember when I went to a therapist myself, I then realized that at that point in my life, or for that year in my life, I was not okay. And then she asked me, do you wake up in the morning? Do you sleep? I said, yes, I sleep. I wake up. Do you go to work? Yes. But because I gave people a facade, but then I stayed in my darkness, I became a functional depressant. I am functioning like everybody else. But as soon as I get into my home, it becomes bleak. It becomes I'm unhappy, I am sad, I am this, and I'm also grateful that I seeked help, that it didn't get to a point it became chronic. I seeked help before it became bigger than who I am. And you are right, this mental state, and I think because depression is put in a category of mental, people don't want to associate themselves with the word I have a mental disorder. I think maybe we need to shift the paradigm. We need to shift how people see things and realize that your mind is critical, your being is critical.
Another thing that, now that you mention it, that we also need to think about, change doesn't come with a massive or situations or circumstances on a mass scale. It starts with the little things, it's one brick that eventually makes a double story.
Yes.
And with us, I need you to think about this. We have naturalized suffering as Black people.
So true.
When you mention that we are wearing these happy faces, think about this scenario. When we grow up and you come from an unprivileged household, they tell you that even if you eat soft porridge, even if you just drink water, as long as you look good, put Vaseline on your mouth, go out there and smile, nobody will know what you ate for breakfast or if you didn't eat. We've naturalized that, and that has it has expanded to bigger things. Instead of saying, okay, to my friend, somebody who you trust, I didn't have a meal this morning, I feel weak, and we're about to go write a test or we're about to go work. Can you help me out? If they're a true friend, they will help you out. If they're not, you move away from them. But mentally, it helps you in the long run. So now we've naturalized this patterns of living in pain.
It's okay to suffer.
As long as people don't see it, it's okay to suffer. And that is a very slippery slope that has brought us to the state that we are in today. We are a depressed nation. Even if you give us money, we go buy cars and go drink so much that we crash and kill ourselves in those beautiful cars.
Suppressing the pain, suppressing the trauma. That's so true. Okay, let's deep dive into your book. So I'm gonna read a couple of them, and I want you to tell me the story behind it, because I know every writing, I write myself, and I know every writing, there's such a bigger story to that. So I'm gonna read the one that says, "I'm okay." I'm okay, that's my answer. Even though I know I'm not okay, I'll be okay. That's my reply. When they notice that I'm not okay, I'm not okay. That I know. When I'm locked up, when I'm locked up all alone, what to do is what I ask, so I can know how to be okay. I want to be okay, hence I stress to the critical point where I'm not okay. Here comes someone to greet and ask, and my answer already is, I'm okay.
I'm okay.
I'm okay. What was going through, and I the reason I bookmarked a couple of these is because as society we could be going through the worst, and why do we hide with the word I'm okay, knowingly that I am suffering, knowingly that I've reached a point of no return, knowing that I might sleep all day or sleep all month. But why this I'm okay? Like when you wrote this, why did you choose this I'm okay?
Anita, we cannot, as much as it is important to diagnose ourselves individually, and try to better ourselves, we cannot ignore the fact that we live in a very toxic society. We live in a very toxic society where nobody wants to be associated with losers. Everybody wants to be associated with winners. Hence, a lot of people who are in pain, a lot of people who are not okay, will get out of their house and walk in the streets and say, I'm okay, because of who society wants to associate with. Your friends, when you're not okay, when you don't have money, when you don't have good clothes to go out with, they don't come see you. They don't come see you. Hence, a lot of people wear a happy smile. We cannot ignore the environment. As much as we have to analyze ourselves, it is also important that when you notice what the environment is, you need to also change your environment. You need to change your environment. For me, I'm okay. I found myself in a position where at the time I had just downgraded from living in an apartment because I was going through financial crisis, and then went to live in a tiny room with all of my furniture, and everything was squeezed up in there. But because of certain accomplishments that I was being praised for, when I went out of the house, I looked good and I smiled. But when I came back home, I wasn't okay. Things were not going well for me. Everything was chaotic. But I was wearing a smile every time I walked out of the door. So that was where initially it came from. And I love making jokes when I meet people. I love seeing people smile. So for me, it's like, okay, these people, all of these people are smiling because of me. Why? And when somebody asks me, I was like, man, I'm okay. When they see me, like, I'm staring into space, hey, man, are you okay? I was like, yeah, I'm okay. And that is a sickness that we suffer from. We suffer from a toxic environment, already putting so much stress on what is already a depressed and traumatized mind. And there are many things that you need to work around. When you talk of change, we're not talking of changing the whole community. It first starts with you. If you realize that your mind is not in a good space, how do you change your environment? You change who you talk to on social media. You change what you follow on social media. You change the people that visit you and who you visit. You know, the more you associate yourself with positivity, the better it is for you to deal with negativity.
That's very true. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I hear you. Okay, so the next one is feeling alone. I shouldn't feel alone, not with the love around me. The many surrounding bodies, how dare I? What's wrong with me? Lazing around with the victim aura when when others too face their own issues. I have no right to mourn like I own. I was raised in a home better than most. So this feeling I dare not own. I shouldn't feel alone, unlike many out there, I still have those to turn to in need. Yet still I need to be alone because that's where safest I best feel. Hmm. That one hit
You
me.
know,
That one hit me home. Where it says,
I,
"I need to be alone because that's where safest I best feel." Yeah, for me, that was like, where else would you go if you've got nobody? You know.
mm,
I
mm,
think as soon as I got to this part, this page, and this specific poem, I asked myself, are people going to understand that they need to heal, or are they going to relate into a point whereby they start feeling the pain so much? So what was going through when you said feeling alone, and what are you trying to say to people? What can they get out of this? Because this can hit home to a point whereby you might end up going, oh my god, I think I'm depressed.
mm, mm, mm. You know, we have this notion that we measure the state of well-being of a person due to the environment and the material acquisitions they have. You know,
Mm,
if you have a house, you're not allowed to be depressed because there's somebody without a house. You
mm,
know, if you have a mother and father, you're not allowed to be depressed because there's somebody out there who doesn't have a mother and father. And that's not how things work. You know,
mm,
that is not how things work. And people, when you look like you are in a better place than most physically, you tend to be ridiculed. That,
yeah.
okay, this person is an attention seeker. You know, why is she sad? Why is she sad? She comes from that fancy house. Both parents are still alive. She gets allowance, you know. So it's for people who are like that. For them, they feel like being alone is when they're most understood, when they are alone. Only them understand themselves. Because this book is also it also goes both ways. It's not just for depressed people. It's for people who are living with people with depression. So that when you read this, as somebody who has a sister, a sibling, onto a sister or a friend who looks like they should be happy, but they're not happy, you need to understand that all of those things, because of where they are mentally, they don't mean anything. They don't mean anything. And this notion of you having something to hold should make you smile. We need to get rid of. We need to get rid of, because that is what is also killing our society. You know, it makes parents not go down to their children's level to understand them, because you've bought them clothes, you've taken them to the best schools, you give them money, whereas that's not the problem. You know, it makes lovers feel like they own their partners because you bought them a house, you bought them. See, once we start looking and measuring life from that material level, that's where we start missing the point. So now, for somebody, when they read this, they need to understand that somebody can have everything, can have a big, beautiful house, can have a loving family, and still not feel okay. Yes.
That's so true. That's so true. Did you have the book next to you? I wanted you to read the one that is on page 30, An Odd Bliss. Yeah, I no longer want to butcher your book. I've read a bit. You can read the rest. Page 30, An Odd Bliss.
An Odd Bliss. I'm looking for it in the hard copy. I have the hard copy over
here. Okay.
Yeah, so the numbering on the hard copy and on the soft copy,
it's two different
not
things.
The same. But we're living in quite interesting times. And I think now that we're starting to have these conversations, it's a step closer towards healing, you know?
It is. And I think it had to take, sadly, it had to take COVID to remind us that we need to express how we feel. We need to, within our silence, we discovered ourselves. Within our silence, we discovered to know how to check up on people. We were so busy, the world got so busy that nobody turned back to actually think, when last did I call somebody? When last did I check up on a family member? And COVID had to bring us out of that. And for me, I always say that the pandemic is such a tragedy, but at the same time, it has taught us the greatest lesson of knowing self.
You know, if you believe in God or higher power or the universe, you could say this was a higher power just saying, you guys are moving too fast, so fast that you don't even see where you're going anymore. Just slow down a bit.
Yes, and see people for
that's
who they
why
are
we're finding ourselves.
That's so true. That's so true. Did you find it on your end?
I found it, An Odd Bliss.
Yes. Can you maybe just read it for us, and then you'll just tell us again, take us on the trip of what motivated this, and then we'll try wrap up so that we don't make this recording bigger. We want people to get your book. So yes, read for us.
Yeah. At odd times, I meet true freedom when I'm alone and the world is silent. The peaceful ambience is not driven by fantasy, where is not driven by fantasy, where made images where made images prove to be dominant. It's no lie. It feels not like as it enters the atmosphere, instantly raising my heart rate. During these times, I get to expand a smile, looking quite happy as tears flow down my young wrinkled cheeks. At odd times, aggressive ambition belongs to me too, although memory of failure chases it away. At these blissful moments, I catch a glimpse of future happiness created by fading dreams.
Mm, mm. I catch a glimpse of future happiness created by fading dreams. Yeah. Yeah.
you know, we are we are very driven by achievement, by the notion of success. You know, there's this notion of success that we are all chasing, and we are all dreaming big, and we are all listening to all of these motivational speakers, looking at all of these rich people, following them, saying, I want to be in those shoes as well. But your reality becomes a bit different than what you are dreaming of. You are dreaming of being at the top of the mountain, and yet you are on the other side of the river, not even at the foot of the mountain. So when you're in such positions, sometimes you become happy and you work hard too, or you meet people who have done it, and they inspire you, and you become so happy, only to go back to your reality when you're alone and you think about it and you're like, ugh, I'm not getting where I want to be. I know I should be getting there, but I'm not getting where I want to be. If I'm there, I know I might be happy. Hence, it's created by fading dreams, those blissful moments of happiness created by fading dreams. You feel like your dreams are fading away because we've also attached dreams to a timeline, in which is quite dangerous. At 24, I'll be this. At 30, I'll be this. At 35, at 40. And now, as the years go by, and you are hitting certain milestones of in terms of age, but not in terms of achievements, you tend to start doubting yourself, doubting your dreams, doubting that are you even meant to get there? You know, you start saying, okay, it's just as long as I'm surviving, not knowing that things don't work on your time.
Not at all.
And when you attach them to age, it becomes quite dangerous to you.
Very true. Because I think it's because society, let's make this example of how society would see a working class woman who's working hard in her 30s, driving a car, having her apartment. The next thing they're going to say to her is, Mara, the clock is ticking. When are you going to have kids and get married? Now she's in her 30s. Now there's this timeline and this pressure, this unspoken pressure. Now she's trying to rush into finding the love of her life, rush into having the family that she wants, because it's society driven. Because as much as I know, as much as yes, we are a generation of depressed people. Our society just drives us there. The people who are supposed to be our leaders and our mentors suffocate us. And it goes back to what you're saying when you say, what do you expect from two depressed parents to raise a child who's not depressed? And it's that sad reality of how does the generation change? When will future African Black people be less depressed, understand mental health, conquer mental health a bit better than because right now the only reason that people are depressed. We were talking about it with a good friend of mine, and we were talking about celebrities. Social media being toxic enough to drive people to suicide, because now they are seeing these celebrities living a specific life on Instagram, but they do not know it in real life. They do not know where the celebrity is sleeping. They do not know some of these things are promotional things that are given for free. Then we're getting these young children taking their lives because they feel like they failed themselves. We have lost friends along the way because of suicide. There's no one today in society who can stand and say, I never lost a friend or a family member to suicide. But nobody wants to have these discussions in their homes. Nobody wants to say, did you notice that, oh, your friend committed suicide? Let's talk about it. How does it make you feel? Do you also feel sad sometimes? How can I help you as a parent? And or even as individuals, how can we help ourselves when we lose friends and say, how can I help me to not get to a point whereby I reach a point of no return, you know? Um, but with me saying that, I mean, we can go on and on about depression because it's such a critical topic in society today, and for more generations to come, for more generations to come. Um, so I wanted to ask you, after writing this book, where you are as a person, how, instead of just going out there and promoting this book, what are you doing about it to better somebody in your community, to better a young man or a young girl in Sebokeng or Sharpeville or Vereeniging? How are you putting this book into action?
Before we get into that, you made quite some serious points. Now, the name of your podcast is Unspoken Truth.
Yeah.
Now, let's be real and speak about things that we as Black people never speak about. The reason in any society, 8 out of 10 people are followers. 2 out of 10 are leaders. Any society has leaders. Whether they chose them or didn't choose them, naturally, there's certain individuals that a collective of people look up to. And the people in our leadership positions, and not talking politics, only politics. We're talking of the celebrities we follow, the prominent business people we follow. We ourselves as a people fail one another because we give empty cans powerful positions, and we become surprised when we are led into a field and not into paradise. We ourselves give power to people who are toxic. We know that celebrity is a drug addict. He's drinking and driving on his Instagram live, yet we give him the power. That's who we follow. That's who the endorsements go to. That's who, when we do our events, that's who we book. That's who we channel the money to. You know, when you look at our parents, they listen to people like Boprayu or Kefa Semenya, people who were still entertainers, but had a deeper purpose of their craft. But who do we give power to as our generation? And why are we surprised if we are led into this field where the grass has burnt? And that's what we do not talk about. We should start talking about disempowering leaders in all aspects, in all industries, who do not lead. If that celebrity is reckless, let's not follow him, let's not book him. If that soccer player is restless, let's not cheer them on. You know, we can't only make it about politics.
Hold people accountable, yeah.
Hold people accountable. Children are not inspired by politicians. Children are inspired by musicians, by artists, by actors. And if we give those reckless people power, why are we surprised when we are depressed? Somebody who lives a fake life, we give them power. And we become surprised when children become suicidal because they're not living up to the standard of that fake person who doesn't tell us that he's sleeping in somebody richer in that rich mansion, and that rich mansion actually belongs to somebody else and not to them. We're giving them power. So these are the unspoken truths that we do not want to talk about. We do not want to talk about. We ourselves are giving power to people who are killing us. And when somebody is not ready for power, unknowingly they will kill us. Because power is a dangerous thing. I'll give you an example. If you are not ready for money, you are going to kill the environment. Look at the men today. You find, let's say, somebody who just gets a big deal through corruption, a big government contract, gets 50 million. You understand that person, because of the state of mind that they're in, they do not understand the environment. They say, I can get what I want. He will sleep with little girls, you know, all around, not knowing if he's sick. make these young girls sick. These young girls become depressed. One of the girls kills themselves, traumatizes that family. The father now becomes aggressive towards the environment. And, friends, it's a whole
The
cycle. So
cycle.
if power goes to the wrong people, the environment starts to rot. And that's happening. That is what is happening with us.
It's so sad. It is such a sad world that we live in. You are right. It is the unspoken truths. And and the saddest part when you're speaking about that, giving people leadership who do not deserve it. Look at something as simple as being writers and content creators. We are out there trying to spread the best content, the most motivating people to be a better version of themselves. But yet, because our voices are suppressed by the noise of the leaders, the celebrities, our voices at the bottom of the crust. And nobody care about Sbusisio Anita. Nobody cares about those people. Everybody cares about the loud speaking people. I mean, we don't want to mention names because now we've got a cancel culture. We'll never know one day. But then
Exactly.
people are being motivated by those that you are right, that are taking drugs, those who are dancing undressed, those who are, and then yet again we ask ourselves, how will our generation is going to be? Because we're giving leeway of people to live a specific type of life and influencing our own generation and ourselves. Because I might see a celebrity with a specific, oh, they got married 5 times. I haven't even gotten married, and then now I've got the depression. Now I have the stress because I'm looking at somebody who's changing people and having marriages that last for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So you are right. It's always the unspoken truth. It's the people having to take accountability. We are where we are right now as society, suffocating and drowning in our sorrows. Is because we are enabling people to put us in that platform, to put us in that situation. Um, it's very sad, and it's I don't know. I think it goes back to this whole thing of unlearning and learning new ways, understanding the
Exactly.
world a bit differently. And like what you said,
Yes.
understanding yourself first, then you can change the world. Because
Yes.
if Usbusis and Anita didn't know themselves, or as we are working and progressing in understanding who we are now having these conversations and these platforms, hoping that somebody who's listening can understand the magnitude of how broken our society has become.
True. And it's up to us to, little by little, these conversations that it might inspire somebody else, or just what that one person who will eventually get into a power position, and we need to carry on with this. So that's what initially the book, I Think I'm Depressed, is a free download on Google Books.
Okay, so
It's
people
a
can
free
get it anywhere, or
any
okay, do they just Google it? Maybe just give them step by step. Do they find you on Instagram? Do they just type, I think I'm depressed? How do they go about it?
Initially, because it has gotten so much attention, even if you Google I Think I'm Depressed book, it's going to appear, but it's on Google Books. On Google Books, type in I Think I'm Depressed. It's a free download there. You can just read it, and or follow me on my social media platforms. I always post it. There are posts about it that has a direct link for maybe people who are using iOS or Huawei devices, where they can just download the PDF. And it's at SBU_Manqa, MANQA, on Instagram and Twitter, and it's Sbusisio Manqa on Facebook. So that's what I try to do. But locally, if they want to buy a hard copy, it's sbusisyomanqa.com.
Oh, okay. That's
Yeah, only the hard copy is for sale, but the intention of this book was to heal the nation, to heal a society, to heal a community, to heal a generation. Hence, it's free, and we're trying all sorts of things to make sure that we are in a better environment. Because if the environment is better, I will be better as well. Recently, for the past 8 weeks, I was doing writing workshops called Writing in the Digital Age in my area, taking all aspiring writers, showing them that you don't actually need money like before to actually publish your work, because the more we spread information now, the better it is for people to deal with their problems, because they will be reading, you can be reading a story of somebody who went through what you are going through right now, and it might make you less suicidal than you currently are. So, and we need to keep aware that not only people, but children as well, they don't listen to what you're saying, they look at what you are doing.
Yes.
And we need to be aware as a nation that how do we move on forward? Do we say things that we do not live, and live things that we do not say? And we need to be careful of that.
That is so true. That is so true. Thank you so much, Sbusisio, for your book. Thank you. I will definitely, I thought I wasn't going to put this video, and I was just going to do audio, but I think I'm going to play around with this video and post it on Unspoken Truth platform, so that those that don't get to stream it on all the digital platforms can actually get to view this and listen to this on IGTV on Unspoken Truth page. So thank you so much for joining me, and I hope that you keep on spreading the word, not just to our generation, but to younger generations. And I hope I get to see you doing a nationwide. I feel like I would want to see you doing this nationwide school drives, and maybe tackling depression from such young ages for them to understand it, and hopefully to feed into their families, and it will feed into their siblings, and so forth and so forth. But thank you so much for sharing your book. I will also spread it amongst my network of people, my family, my friends. Thank you for sharing this platform with me, and I will definitely publish this on the 11th of June. 11th of June, it will come out. I just want for us to push so that people can out there are ready for it. People are ready to hear this, and they are ready to receive it. So thank you so much for joining Unspoken Truth.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much. Should you ever write other books, please get hold of me again, because this platform is for healing and changing people, for them to be a better version of themselves. So thank you so much for being such a great author and sharing your story with us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you again, Sbusisio Manqa, for joining me. We know depression is one of the critical issues in society today. Everyone listening to this podcast, know that you're not alone. Seek help. Contact any depression or suicidal helpline. Fear not. Every man has his secret sorrows which the world knows not, and oftentimes we call a man cold when he's only sad. Henry Longfellow. Follow me on Instagram and subscribe on Spotify and Apple Podcast. I am Nita Terry T, your host of Unspoken Truth. Until the next episode, remember, everything in life comes with divine order, divine timing, and divine presence. Dear you, you're going to be just fine. I thank you.